Hello everybody, Rockers living the Yellow Submarine today, and I am going to surprisingly going to do a review of an album that's actually going to turn, as of this year, 21 years old, and it is this a new metal band, and it is Slipknot, the self-titled debut album, and this is actually the original album, not the album after it. Okay, here's a story about the self-titled debut album. Like after when this album was released, I'll give you a quick story about what happened because this is the original, and this is not the after it. Like what I mean is like the when it reissue. Like I'm talking about like this. The album I have is the one that has Frail Limb Nursery and Purdy, also known as Night Purdy. I think that's her name. Could be wrong, but I will say that this is the original album, and I do not have the Me Inside, although I actually listened to the song and I actually do enjoy it. And I do love Corey Taylor's vocals on this song, although this is my first review on Slipknot, and let me give you my honest opinion about Slipknot. Okay, so so I am not a big fan of Slipknot. I really don't care for their music, honestly. They're not the worst new metal bands out there. There are other new metal bands I consider worse. But if you had to, but I will say this: I like Slipknot a little more than Seven does, personally. But because I'm not a big fan of Seven Dust's music either, I wasn't a big fan of their style. But Slipknot, they were more of thrash. I mean, because if you had to tell me which subgenres should I consider them, I consider them more as thrash metal, death metal for the most part. Because for thrash metal, for the most part, their music's in this album has more of a fast metal sound too. And I will say that this album, I wasn't a big fan of. I mean, like, don't hurt me in the comments down below. Like, Slipknot fans, I'm not really a big fan of Slipknot's music. I'm not going to most likely be irritated if they're going to come on the radio. I'm not going to be irritated by it. But for the most part, I'm just going to be like, oh, okay, it's Slipknot. It's okay. Because, I mean, I will be honest, most of their music, in my opinion, they're basically... Yes, I know they have some different sounds later on, but I will say that Slipknot for the most part are basically kind of sounds the same for the most part. And yes, even later on they do kind of sound similar for once in a while. But I will say the self-titled debut album is actually a really good album, surprisingly. I thought I was going to not really like it, especially as I listened to it and actually know more about Slipknot. And I'm not a big fan of Slipknot. I really don't care much about this album, although it's actually a pretty good album. And this is, in my opinion, one of my favorite nu metal albums of all times. Not my favorite nu metal bands of all times, personally. Not by a long shot. They're not the worst, not by a long shot. So this is going to be reviewing tracks by tracks, reviewing about this album. And yeah, so I will say that I'm not going to talk too much about the Me Inside. That the track that was placed on that album later on. But this is the album that I actually had, the original, where it has Purdy and Frail Limb Nursery. So the first track starts off with the digit numbers 7426 17000027. And if you did not know that this was actually a number of digits that's used on the code bar of the demo, the demo of because a lot of people will say it's their first album, which I do not really consider them as their first album, mostly because if you're talking about like as a demo, yeah, it's their first demo album. But if you're talking about like as their first demo overall, no, I would not consider them as their first album, because I mean there's not really much anything to say about their demo album. But I will say this song this song is not really anything. It just takes the samples. I think it was Corey Taylor, I think it was one of the DJs, I think it was Sid Wilson, I forgot. I'm not a big fan of the members, so forgive me. And it starts off with the woman saying the whole thing, I think it's sick. And Corey Taylor basically takes that sample, and speeds it up and slow it down to make it sound, I'm guessing, I don't think they were trying to make it sound like what she's trying to say, but I'm guessing, and I will say this, that the production, especially at the time when this album was made, I will say it's surprisingly a good production, good production. Although, for the most part, they had a little, because this world doesn't really, again, this song is not really anything to say, which I do it's a nice sample to listen to. And this is actually a fun fact, you probably don't know, Slipknot fans, that this was actually from a Charles Manson documentary. And yeah, that was where she was talking about this whole situation about Charles Manson, which I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about this whole documentary because we're reviewing Slipknot's self-titled debut album. But she said that line in the documentary, and I have a funny feeling that a lot of Slipknot fans who listen to this album are, when they watch the Charles Manson documentary, they're gonna be laughing so loud, like it's such a memorable line because it's still a Slipknot trying to make that memorable. But the next track goes with the well, actually it's not because I forgot how many seconds. I think it was a 40-second song. The digit numbers. Never really anything to say about it. The second track is Sick with the parentheses in the sides. This is a crazy thrash metal music right there, and it starts off right away, especially immediately after that transition from that sample. That's crazy. And the guitar, I will say, the guitar is very fuzzy. Although I'm not a big fan. I mean, I will say the guitar fuzz, especially if you're talking about the guitar fuzz, especially for this band, is very well, especially very suitable for this band too. And the track 6 is not really anything besides, and that's another thing about Slipknot. In their earlier, like if you're talking about in their new metal era, if you will, and this album was produced by Ross Robinson, by the way, and I will say this, for the most part in their new metal, or you could basically say like their whole entire catalog, most of their music basically talks about stay away from me or I'll kill you. That's pretty much what it all talks about, pretty much for the most part. And I'm not a big fan of Slipknot. I know you guys are gonna be so hurt in the comments. I don't give a crap. But this song, I will say, it's a crazy, and I actually loved it right away actually. And in Latin, and did you know that in Latin, if you translate sick, it actually means thus. And it is shorthand for sic, erat scriptum, meaning thus it was written. A back room, and it's said in context, which is essentially mean the same thing. And, well, I mean, because this song I would consider is more of a thrash metal. Well, I mean, for the most part in this album, I consider it more as a thrash metal. But this song is not really anything. It basically talks about, oh, don't you mess with me, I'll kill you. Basically, that's all what Corey Taylor talks about in this album. That's why I wasn't a big fan of their catalog. Because they always talked about the same thing, stay away from me or I'll kill you, or stuff like that, I don't really know. I know you gotta talk about Iowa, and it's a little different and way different than this one. But I actually really enjoyed this self-titled debut album again. But not really anything to say. It's a pretty good track, especially it's very suitable for this band, pretty much. And the next track is Eyeless. So this track starts out with a sample, again, not like a sample like a repeated sample again, but this one starts out with a sample that is actually from a sample of Ease Yourself by The Collective, which in turn heavily samples Amen Brother White Winston's, and it is like pretty much not really anything to say about the song either. I mean, again, not a big fan of this band or not a big fan of this album, but I will say this song is actually surprisingly love this song. I thought I was gonna be like, okay, this is pretty good, but I love the intro. The intro for that sample, and especially the guitar following up. I don't know, is it me or does this song sound like it would be fitting for a horror film trailer? Like, is it me or is this, I mean, for the most part, is this band, like Slipknot, is it me or does this band kind of sounds like something they would put a song for a horror film? You know how funny and actually pretty good it would be? That would be pretty funny. But the chorus is what catches my attention, where Corey Taylor keeps saying, you can't see California without Marlon Brando's eyes. Can't see California without Marlon Brando's eyes. You can't see California without Marlon Brando's eyes, which is the chorus of the song. And it's actually, I actually looked at the lyrics in this booklet. I actually looked at the booklet for the chorus, and oh my gosh, I laughed my butt off when I hear him said Marlon Brando. I laughed my butt off. And this was, if you didn't know, this was in the, if you didn't know, and the production of this song was actually pretty funny and actually pretty good for if you're trying to talk about the production value. It's mostly because, if you didn't know, Corey Taylor was in Iowa, I believe in Iowa at the time where he actually got this phrase. He actually said that he actually got that that chorus from a homeless guy on the street while he was in California, which I meant to say California, not Iowa. And most likely, Because he's basically the stranger. Basically tells him you can't see California without Marlon Brando's eyes. I'm guessing he just brings this up just as an influence. I'm guessing. I don't know. But rest in peace, Marlon Brando. By the way, he's a great actor. He's a very talented actor. I miss him. Rest in peace. And the next track is "Waiting to Believe," the most well-known song by Slipknot. And I will say this is actually a really good song. This is actually a really good song. Now, I'm actually surprised that Corey Taylor can actually sing a melody. Even though, for the first time, when you listen to this, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even understand what he's saying. And, yeah, I didn't really know what he was saying for the most part when I hear Corey Taylor sing. But I love his vocals in his songs. His vocals is actually really good. It shows him that he actually can sing a melody without singing like these aggressive, crazy vocals as always from Slipknot. In this song, I know a lot of people say it's not their favorite because it's a pop hit, but I actually enjoyed this track. When I first listened to this, I thought I really loved it, because especially as the vocals. I mean, I actually surprisingly, because when I found out this was a hit single, and I was like, I don't care, this song is awesome. Really don't give a crap about it. But Waiting to Bleed is basically about a man who has constant dreams of his suicide by sitting at his wrist. One day he wakes to find that his dreams are reality, which when he said, like he said, inside my shell I wait and bleed. And he tries to fall back to sleep, but he realizes that this is it. This is the final. He has finally done it. And this is a very well-known song. And this song was also, by the way, fun fact if you didn't know, this was also in the soundtrack of Scream 3. In my opinion about the film, it was the worst of all the series. I never liked the film. Not even as a repeats. Because the third film, I don't want to spoil that much, but the third one was insulted to the series. I hated the third one. But I will say the soundtrack is okay, because there's actually a band that I actually despise, and it's Creed. Yes, you hear me right. Yeah, that band is in that album. Creed. Yes, they are in it. But I will say, surprisingly, they got System of a Down's Spire song, which I actually really enjoy this song very much. I really enjoy that song. They even got the Waiting to Believe Slipknot, but it's the Terry Date, I believe that's what it's called, the mix, which it's actually a feature where he sings it normally instead of singing that, where he says, you know, and because he kind of sings it like that, but then when he sings like the verse, he actually sings it a little calmer, like sounds like he's singing it live. That's the Terry Dates version. I think that's that name. But this song, I will say, it's actually my favorite song on this album, I will say. It's mostly because of the way Corey Taylor sings it, too. But even though they're not my favorite band, but the next track is Surfacing. Sorry, I meant to pronounce that incorrect. But this song it starts off with a cymbals crashing, and, well, because Wait and Blade starts off right away, but the Surfacing starts off with the cymbals hitting pretty fast, and then you hear that guitar solo, or a guitar, like that guitar is so like so heavy distortion, and that's basically the band loves to do. They always want to sound exactly. I guess that's their entire trick of what they were wanting to do at the time too. They did say that they weren't doing it for popularity. They were just doing it for what they want to do. They said that later on, but like they were so like obsessed with the heavy distortion instruments for like almost the entire song, especially later ones. They started exactly the same. Especially Corey Taylor sounding aggressive. He doesn't try to sing like a melody. That's why they're not really my favorite band from the new metal, because most of their songs, in my opinion, are basically a party band. Personally, it's something you would hear in a party. You would just headbang your butt, headbang so hard. But yeah, headbang at your own risk, metalheads. In this song, Surfacing, I wasn't a big fan of it. Although I will say, this caught my attention with the chorus where he said, "F." Yes, the YouTube is still at it again. I just want to do it just in case the YouTube's gonna come at me. But Corey Taylor, he said his well-known "F it all, F this world, F everything that you stand for, don't belong, don't exist, don't give a S, don't ever judge me." That's basically the chorus. Yes, this was actually in the booklet, which I'm probably not going to show it, but I'm not going to show it because it's YouTube policy, of course. But I will show you some stuff on this album after this. And I will say that this song is brief. It's thrash metal as crap, I will say. Thrash metal. Right there. And the next track, there's not really anything to say about this track. It's not really my favorite, although that guitar riff in the intro was actually a big fan of that riff, although it's not my favorite riff from Slipknot in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm just not a fan of the band. But this song, Chris Fan, he said it's basically this song. He says that it basically encompasses everything, kind of encompasses the attitude of the band and the attitude of how we feel about life. Don't judge me. Everything that you think that you know about the world and about Slipknot and about your own life. Excuse me. No, that's not what he said. Might be the case. So I think it's just open-mindedness and just be cool. That's pretty much what the band is. They're basically all about FU, pretty much. But this song, I was not a big fan of it, although the guitar riff in the intro was pretty crazy. I mean, if you were like not a big fan of Slipknot, I mean, I'm not saying you're a terrible person if you're not a big fan of Slipknot. That's fine. I really don't care much for Slipknot. I don't know. Sorry if I keep repeating myself. I always do. The next track is "Spit It Out." This was also a hit single along with "Wait and Bleed." This was another hit single at the time when this was released. "Spit It Out" is more of a rap. This was way more of a nu metal. They featured DJ. Well, actually, Servicing had. The previous track I forgot to mention. This band is way more of their nu metal era because they featured DJs and they even features like rapping. And this song "Spit It Out" features a lot of rapping. And although hip hop is not my favorite genre, although I can respect some rappers out there, I can actually enjoy some rappers, but not overall my favorite genre. Not the go-to for me. There's some rappers I enjoy, but overall I'm not a big fan of hip hop. But "Spit It Out" is a pretty good song. It's not really my favorite, I guess. Because it's not really my favorite song, especially the chorus wasn't really my favorite chorus from Slipknot. But it's still a pretty good song, even as a hit single. There's not really anything to say about this song. I wasn't a big fan of this song. But fun fact, "Spit It Out" was actually the first song Slipknot wrote with Corey Taylor. It was one of the best. Pretty much, it's the reason why the band's best known songs it's mostly due to their live interaction with the crowd, and pretty much it also features. Because this is basically because I would consider them more of nu metal. Slipknot. Later on they weren't really nu metal. They were more of I would just say heavy metal for the most part, thrash metal. I'm not a big fan of Slipknot. I don't think I will never be. Not that I hate them. I actually have some respect for what they did in the nu metal genre, I will say. But the next track is "Tattered and Torn." So this track is crazy. This is a crazy song. Now, because the song starts off with an intro, you can hear like a bell. You can hear in the background. You can hear like a bell, ding, and then you hear this crazy, terrifying sound of like a sample. I don't really know fully what was it called. But man, is it me or does that sound? It has to be in my opinion, one of the terrifying songs we've ever gotten from this band. I actually remember listening to this album all the way through entirely the first time I listened to it, especially when I got this album. And I listened to it all the way through the first time. I was terrified. I was like, what the heck is going on? This was terrifying. I did not expect Slipknot to go through that direction of the band. That was terrifying. That was very different than their other tracks, I'll tell you that. It's mostly because of their noise in the background. I'm not trying to say noise, but you basically want to say noise for the most part, what they do. And by the way, fun fact, "Tattered and Torn" is also the name of a clothing line owned by Slipknot. And fun fact, the two versions had different lyrics, which I actually didn't know that because I wasn't a big fan of the lyrics. In my opinion, I wasn't a big fan of the lyrics, but I didn't hate them, but I wasn't a big fan of this song either, although the intro, not the intro, but throughout the whole entire song, it sounded so terrifying, this song. Oh my god, it sounds so terrifying. I don't know, you're gonna hear me saying this a bunch of times. And the next track is not really anything to say about the song. This song gives me goosebumps every time I hear this song, mostly because of how terrifying it is. I don't know. This song I actually liked it. I know a lot of people say it's their least favorite because of the weirdness of the noise. I actually do enjoy this track. I really don't give a crap what they're people trying to say. It's mostly because it's a little different than the other tracks. That's another thing I will give to Slipknot. And the next track is "Frail Land Nursery." And this track it's just a sample. This is a really short song, along with the 742617000027. Along with that song, it's basically like almost like a minute song or like a couple seconds of a sample. This was actually caused a controversy when the album was first released. And this actually had a story behind it, which I will try to make it short as possible. So because if you can hear it, it contains the samples from a fictional story about a girl called Adrian Purdy Knight, who was buried alive in a box by an obsessed lover. The original website that reported. The story had recorded audio samples of Purdy in prison. These samples were allegedly used on Frail Limb Nursery, so both songs had to be pulled from the album because of the copyright plagiarism or infragmism, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, they also took away the Purdy song, which I actually love that song, which I will talk more about how much I love that song. But this song, I will say, the song Frail Limb Nursery is not really anything to say. I will say the song is actually, if you hear the audio, you may sound kind of terrifying. I mean, for the production at the time, it sounds a little it's not really clean, but it sounds a little messy at the time. I mean, because I'm not saying it's terrible by any means, but especially I understand as a production whole for this album, for the production of this album, it's actually pretty good. But for Frail Limb Nursery, it caused a big controversy. Well, not like, because see, that's another thing Slipknot was very well known for at the time. They were mostly well known. I mean, well, not well known, but they were known for the controversies behind at the time where this album was released, and because a lot of later on, like as the years goes by, their popularity has been dying down. A lot of people forgot about this band lately, and they don't really listen to this band that much, which that's people's opinions. But this album had a controversy when the album was released. It had a controversy, which was a copyright infringement of the song Purdy and Frail Limb Nursery were inspired by a story published online about a girl, Purdy Knight, who was kidnapped. I already said about it. And the website called Crime Scene, which is, I'm guessing is still up still, presents fictional stories as a real-life crime cases. Originally, the website included no disclaimer saying that it was a work of fiction. Many readers believed the story to be true, including Corey Taylor. He actually quotes, "I still think the story is real. It F our world up when we read it." Can you imagine a girl being buried in a box and have all this licorice bowl-esque drip down on her from this guy? It just hurts your head. Which I do understand what he's saying, and yeah, the website is trying to make it all fake, but a lot of people think it's real. It's basically like Bigfoot pretty much. But I don't know. It's still like that today. But pretty much. And fun fact, Corey Taylor said that the next track is going to be Purdy. This was also had another a controversy along with Frail Limb Nursery, had a controversy behind it. This song Frail Limb Nursery also had a controversy. I mean, not also a controversy, but Corey Taylor said about this song that it was originally called Despise, but it didn't work when we tried to put it together. Ross Robinson took it and helped us restructure it. In the Q&A, Corey Taylor claimed the lyrics has been written 5 years prior to the song's release. That only the song has been inspired by Purdy Knight's story, and that inspiration came from films such as Boxing Helena and The Collector, and not the story itself. I mean, that's what I've so far heard about it. And that's basically all you need to know about this song production, especially this was. I believe this song was this song used to be performed live at the time, but now they don't. I've heard people say that they missed how they used to perform this song live. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Slipknot, but I've heard people saying that they miss how they perform Purdy, which, if I was the fan, I will actually agree. If I was their fans, I would agree. So Purdy, I will say this song is actually, I think so far this song is my second favorite song on this album, behind the final track on this album, Scissors, which I will talk about the song. So the next track, not really anything to say, but the chorus is, in my opinion, the best part of the song, in my opinion. And one of Corey Taylor's best vocals, besides Me Inside, which was released on the reissue of the album. And the next track is Liberate, which this song, I was not a big fan of this song. All I hear in this song is basically liberate my madness, pretty much. That's all I hear from this song. And this is the album I will say I really appreciate this band. They actually try to make it sound a little different, although it does sound a little similar a little bit. Mostly because, at least, I guess because Slipknot makes like terrifying music, so let's be honest. But basically he just keeps saying elaborate my madness. I was not a big fan of this song. It's definitely my least favorite song. It sounds like almost like a demo in my opinion. It sounds almost like a demo. And this song is about accepting your anger and frustration instead of letting it bottle up inside, which that's described as metal as a genre. Because I mean, I was not a big fan of, not a big fan of this song. This is one of my least favorite songs on the album. I guess because I was just not a big fan of this song. Not that I hate this song, but I was not a big fan of this song. And the next track is Prosthetics. Okay, there we go. Prosthetics. No, like I said, prosthetics. Alright, I'm already messing up. But this track is not really in it. This song is actually about the 1960. This is what surprised me about the production. This song is about the 1965 horror film The Collector, a man who is a butterfly collector who collects humans as well. Which is actually surprisingly, I didn't even know this was about that. That's crazy. I didn't even know that actually. But I will say the intro is what actually caught my attention. That you hear that you can hear. I'm just gonna say it, they bang the noises and you hear like, I mean, because it goes dun dun dun, and you hear that guitar riff. You hear that guitar riff, and you hear that weird noise later on. You hear that like something like that. I don't know how you call it. My voice, I can't really up and register that much, but you can hear it. But it's actually way higher than my voice. But this song's not really anything to say. I'm also not a. I mean, I actually do like the song way more than Elaborate song, because this song, I was not a big fan of this song. The next track is No Life. This one was definitely, or I mean, I would not say was, but this song is definitely a nu metal song. Let's be honest, because this song has a nu metal sound. The rapping, I don't think there was a DJ. I was not a big fan of this song either. Sorry, I'm not a big fan of. This is a song because basically the chorus is very well known for Slipknot part. Because I'm not a big fan of Slipknot again, but this song, it's okay. It's not really my favorite song from Slipknot. Maybe it's because it's the rapping. Not really anything to say. There's not really anything of the production of this song either. But I will say this song is actually. I will say this song is okay. Not really anything to say. So the next song is called. The next track is Deluded. Sorry. This song I wasn't a big fan of either. I mean, for me, for the most part, the first half was actually pretty good. The second half I wasn't a big fan, but there was actually some tracks I actually loved in the second half. Actually, don't get me wrong. This song Deluded continues the themes of misanthropy and self-hatred that flow throughout Slipknot's self-titled record. Musically, it's a fast-paced. I mean, I would not say nu metal, fast-paced. I would just say a fast-paced thrash metal music, personally. And a song that makes use of several vocal effects. You probably notice it, but I've noticed it too. It's not the verses in order to give a fracture feel to the track. And in the self-titled debut album, and I will say this song is. I was not a big fan of this song actually. This is another song I wasn't really a big fan of, although I actually do like this song way more than Elaborate and also No Life too, because you can hear in the background. You hear that. Like you can hear like a noise in the background, which is actually a nice touch in my opinion. But this song, I liked it. It was actually pretty good. It was actually I liked the song way more than No Life than maybe it's because I just don't like rap maybe or hip hop. Not that I hate it, but it's all personal taste. Not talking trash. This is all personal taste. For a person who loves thrash metal and heavy metal, that can actually admire some rappers out there. I know a lot of people are just divided of not really liking rap or hip hop, but I can actually enjoy some rappers there now. Like Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, of course. Okay. The next track is called Only One. This intro surprisingly spoke to me. This intro, I loved it. This song, I actually loved the song right away. Actually, this intro, like, it really reminded me of Slayer's "South of Heaven," where like if you hear like the outro of the "South of Heaven," and if you listen to this song, it sounds exactly alike, doesn't it? I mean, except for the intro, you hear that it sounds very similar to Slayer for the most part. I guess because they were heavily influenced by Slayer and also Kiss. I mean, the reason why I think that they are influenced by Kiss is mostly because of their appearances. Like, look at this. They're wearing masks because they're basically because because there's a point of why they're wearing masks. Because a lot of people wouldn't. Because I know back then people would be like, "Why are they wearing masks? How are you supposed to know who they are? Or what are you supposed to identify them?" Because that's the point. Because you don't want to identify yourself with all the other kids that are basically trying to not only make new metal music, especially at the time too, but basically, this is basically this is just basically a middle finger to basically not just the record labels, but basically the middle fingers to all the fans, pretty much. But this song only won. I actually loved the song right away. I love that intro. That intro, it really reminded me of Slayer. I was like, what the heck? Like, this sounds like something it would be sounding for a Slayer song. And yes, I do know Slayer, and I'm not the biggest fan of Slayer, but I will say this song, I actually do love this song. I actually love this song way more than the previous tracks. Although Parody, I like the song way more. Mostly it's because of the chorus. But the only one I really love the song is mostly because of the intro. I love it. I mean, although the rest of the song is actually pretty good. And now we are going to the final track, and it is called Scissors. This is actually my favorite track on this album. Is it a surprise? Because if you're a big fan of instrumental music, especially me, I'm a big fan of instrumental music, especially how it sounds. This one I actually loved a lot. Even though the intro, you can hear like the noise, the banging noise, if you will. You hear that, like later on, you hear like Corey Taylor rapping, and he gets angry. Because the instruments goes after that, and then you hear like almost at the end, you hear like Corey Taylor yelling and screaming of pain. And it's like terrifying, but I love the instrumental part of this song. I guess that's what sold me the most of this song, is mostly the instrumental part of this song. And this song wasn't really anything to say, except the lyrics was actually written by Joey Jordison. If you didn't know, he's a drummer of the band. And this is about self-harm, but the last lines were improvised by Corey Taylor and thought to be about drug addiction, which wasn't. And I found out that the secret track after Silence is and I found out that because you know what, I should spoil it, like, because for the most part I've always been like, you know what, should I spoil it or should I spoil it? Like, is there going to be a hidden track or is it going to be not? I don't really spoil it that much because I always say buy this album and listen to it entirely, not just the song, but like listen to the album all the way through. And I will say this is going to be the only time I'm actually going to address this. After the song Scissors, although I actually do love this song, mostly because of the instrumental, that's why, because I'm a big fan of instrumental music, because if you're a heavy metal thrash metal metalhead, you're going to love instrumental music for the most part. But I will say, I mean, most metalheads are going to like the vocals too, of course. But, okay, off topic. But, after the Scissor songs, it goes, which was very odd. When I first listened to this album, I was like, what the heck? Because, like, when I listened to this song, not only the ending would creep me out, but, like, after the creepiness of his voice, and then suddenly it went to a silence. Like, in silence. For, I think it was about 5 minutes, I believe. Because I believe the song was, if I'm wrong, this was, I believe, it was 8-minute song. Which was very odd to make an not just an 8-minute song, but like, because because if you buy like albums, because if you hear like when it's the final album, when it's the final track on the album, you would think like it's gonna be a final track, because if it goes on for like 10 or 20 seconds, it's going to be a hidden track. But for this song, it went on for way too long to be a hidden track. Personally, I know this is their entire trick to try to trick everybody to think this is the final track on the album, but this album, in my opinion, the way they go to a hidden track went way too long. And in my opinion, like, this, I don't know. In my opinion, this song, the way to go to a hint track went for way too long. I believe it was like 5 minutes to get to the hint track. And honestly, you could have just trimmed it down to like 4 minutes and actually get to like a minute to get to the hint track to make it a little shorter. Because then when you make it 5 minutes, it makes it way too long to get a hint track. I guess it's just to scare everybody to think this is not the end. I mean, yeah, the hint track. I mean, it's not really a hint track, but between the song Scissors and a hint track called Aaron, which is this is actually kind of funny. That song titled Aaron, the hint track, really reminds me of that Winnie the Pooh character. And I've always, every time I looked up, like every time I listened to this hint track, I was like, is this over? Because like in the middle of the before the hint track, you hear like the group or like the band members are just watching, I'm guessing, a pornography video. Like they're watching like I think they were watching like a pee, or like they were watching, you know, inappropriate stuff. I mean, when you're 18 or 18 or older, they were watching it and you could hear like them talking, and I actually got a laugh. I'm not gonna lie, I actually laughed at this. Was probably funny. I actually found what they were saying was actually pretty funny. They were watching, of course, pornography. They were watching it. If you could hear in the background, band members were throwing up that crap out of it too. I was laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to know what this was about. I wonder what they were watching that were making them throwing up. I know it was not pretty, I will tell you that. But I actually found out that so I found out that they were watching a scat pee film with the coughing. And I found out the coughing, I think it was by Chris Fan. I've heard this was by Chris Fan, I believe. I could be wrong. He's the one with the spikes. And after this hilarious conversation the band was talking about, the next one is going to be a hint track, which is, of course, Aaron, which I mentioned a little earlier. And Aaron is not really anything, but which is pretty funny, especially when after listening to the silence, I have to listen to them talking, and I'm hearing that in the background, you hear, like, I think it was the acoustic guitar you hear in the background. And then, like, I was like, I wish they could have had a different, in my opinion, I was like, I wish they had at least one song to actually feature an acoustic guitar rather than try to sound all exactly the same with the electric guitar or the heavy distortion. You don't have to. You don't have to. But I just recommend if you want to sound, like, different. But this song is not really anything. But I actually found out that in the end of the song, after he was just singing and they were playing the guts out of them, and at the end of the song, I actually found out that they actually sample Ice Cube saying "Take That Mother Effer" from Man's Best Friend song by Ice Cube, which I was thinking like, was that from Ice Cube? I was thinking like, and this was a sample, which a lot of people probably didn't know that too. Which is actually kind of funny. I did not expect that. That ending was actually pretty cool. It especially goes along with this entire band of the early days. Pretty much, they're basically a new metal band. I mean, if you're grading them on like what subgenres will you put them, I would consider them more of a thrash death metal band. Pretty much, I would consider, because death metal is where they have those low pitch screams that Corey Taylor does a lot. I mean, although he does sing a melody sometimes, but not a lot. He always does like his death metal influence. And most of their music are very fast paced, which that's what goes along with the subgenre of thrash metal, because it's a fast paced music. Like Metallica, and Slayer, of course. There's other thrash metals out there, and heavy metal bands out there. But, and I actually it's funny that after I heard like a sample of Ice Cube's this song called Man's Best Friend, and I heard that ending especially funny, that I heard them, like they were talking at the end after the sample, I heard them talking at the end, and then I heard them, I think it was, I forgot who said, but they were going, whoop, and then suddenly the song, and then the album ends. I was like, what the heck? Is it actually over? Like, is this their entire trick of just going back to the intro, I'm guessing? The digit numbers. But anyway, This album is in my opinion, I'm actually going to say this. This album is actually a classic. Surprisingly, and not that I hate this album or hate this band, but I'm not a big fan of this band. But I am a pretty big fan of this album when it comes to the songs. Because if you're going to play like one of the like a couple notes, I'm going to probably easily recognize. For some songs, I'm going to easily recognize, but for the most part, I'm going to be like, is this song? I think. But then I started to listen to it more. I'm just like, oh, it's this song. But overall, I'm actually going to give this an 8.5 out of 10 stars for this album. This album is, I will say, it's a classic, and I will say this album is surprisingly, it's actually really good. I was actually not expecting to love this album a lot. Because, I mean, like, again, not a big fan of this band. I don't think I will never be a fan of Slipknot. I know a lot of people are going to be hurt in the comments down below, but let me go on and say this again. I do not hate Slipknot. Their musics, in my opinion, don't really, and I have no interest in their musics. Along with Seven Dust, I mean, Seven Dust, they had more of a soft music sound, a soft nu metal sound in the earlier days. But later on, they got more of a heavy metal, which I was not interested in their newer sounds after Clint and Larry came back. So I was not a big fan. I was not a big fan of Seven Dust, but I actually do like Slipknot a little. I actually like Slipknot. I guess it's because they're heavy, because they're more thrash metal for me. But Seven Dust, they're more of a easy listening to nu metal, pretty much. They basically are if they were around the 60s, pretty much, or the 70s. Because of their soft metal sound. I mean, it's mostly because of the lead vocals. I mean, I will do an album review about the Seven Dust's Animosity album and Seasons, by the way. And pretty much, I will do that later on, but it's going to take some time because this whole entire virus that's happening hopefully doesn't affect me. Again, I am not sick. Let me just go on and say this. I am not sick. I do not have a virus. As of now, I am fully health. I am in really good health. I don't feel any sickness at all. So, yeah. Just to let you know. And yes, this is the original album, the one that actually has Frail Limb, Nursery, and Purdy. Because the reissue has the Me Inside, which I'm not going to talk about this song that much. It's more of a, but I will describe it. It's a thrash metal song, which sounds a little different, but the vocals is crazy. The vocals is actually really good, I will say. Surprisingly, from Corey Taylor, he can actually sing in that song, actually. I mean, not that I'm disliking his vocals, but it's just like, if you're talking about like throughout the whole entire album, yeah, he can actually sing in this song, Me Inside and Purdy, and Wait to Bleed a lot. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this band. And I mean, not really about this band. I know a lot of people are going to ask me in the comments down below, please review Iowa. It's the best album ever made from Slipknot. I may or may not do a review on the album because it's going to take me some time because their sound, especially getting into their song, to the band's songwriting structure, if you will, because Slipknot, I have no interest of this band personally. But Iowa, I will say, I love the song Iowa. Loved it right away, actually. I know, I understand it's a longer song than The Scissors, but it's actually a really good song. And the tracks I actually really enjoy from Iowa is actually People Equals S. Yes, that's an actual song. And I actually do enjoy the song My Plague, and even though it's a hit single, this was released on the Resident Evil soundtrack, which I hated that movie so much. Like, I did not like the movie Resident Evil. Like, I don't want to talk too much about the movie, because especially how much I disliked the film. And, because I don't know. Because I haven't seen that movie in a while, and I remember hating on it. It's based off of the video game, which this was one of their earlier days where they're trying to make movies based off of video games, which really gets on. And it's basically a want to start nowadays, pretty much. And I do enjoy Left Behind. It wasn't my favorite song on the album. Like, out of the songs that I actually do know, I do like Disaster Piece, and the song I actually really love is I Am Hated, because I did grow up, because I actually heard of this song when I was in middle school. I was actually heard of this song when I was in middle school, and that was after they put it on the Amplitude game, the PS2 game. they included I Am Hated, but it was the remix version. It was the Amplitude remix where it did not feature one of the greatest outros from Slipknot, in my opinion, because that outro you can hear him screaming, saying I am hated, which is crazy. I think it was I am hated, he said, but it was a great, crazy vocals. But yeah, that song I am hated, I grew up with the attachment of that song. But yeah, I may or may not review Iowa. Let's see what happens, because I'm not a big fan of Slipknot. I wasn't a big fan of Iowa either. Like, again, I'm not a big fan of Slipknot's music, mostly because they all sound too similar to each other's songs. And they don't really interest me that much. Because, on the other hand, if you're compared to other new metal bands like System of a Down I love way. I actually love System of a Down way more than Slipknot, mostly because they actually had different sounds and they actually can sing actually a lot more instead of sounding all like crazy aggressive as always. But they can actually sing way really better, like in my opinion, because I am stupidly biased of loving System of a Down. But okay, at the end of the video, throughout the rest of the video, I'm gonna show you what this self-titled debut album looks like. So this is the self-titled debut album. This is the original classic. This is basically the back, and yeah, this is terrifying. And yes, I've actually heard that this CD actually had a different looks of the CD. I actually heard, and yeah, I'm just gonna show you. I don't want to show you too much because it's gonna show some profane. So I'm just, well, because even though YouTube's gonna knock me, I really don't give a crap anymore because of how they're treating YouTubers, even small YouTubers. But this is how it looks. Like if you open, but I will show you what the back looks like for the CD cover. And I will show you the front, of course. And sorry, I'm trying to clear my throat. My throat hurts a little bit. I'm talking so much because I haven't make videos for you guys for a while now, so forgive me. Because I might have to blur this whole entire words out because, especially how I might have to blur this whole entire words out just in case if like YouTube's gonna come at me later on. But it's just basically because the words is just basically the chorus from the Surfacing song, the track. But it's just basically the picture of the band, pretty much. Yeah, Joey Jordison. And because I've heard, because a lot of people, because I mean, for what I've heard, a lot of people love Joey Jordison, even as a drummer. I can understand why. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Slipknot because I know Corey Taylor watches like internet videos. Because I mean, I know Corey Taylor is still. I understand Corey because I forgot who passed away. Let me know in the comments down below who passed away. I forgot. I'm not a big fan of the band. So Corey Taylor, if you're watching this, do not hate me. I'm not a big fan of Slipknot, and I'm a young adult, so it could take me some time to get into your sounds. But Corey Taylor, if you're watching this, love you, man. Keep rocking out as always. And shout out to your band members that you guys did in the band Slipknot. And yeah, I don't hate me. I don't hate you, Corey Taylor. I don't hate you, but I'm not a big fan of the band, but I actually do enjoy some songs that you made over the years, so that's a plus. I will give you a rock on. I am actually going to give not only Corey Taylor but Slipknot a rock on. Especially, I will say this surprisingly, the reason why they actually made an impact at their nu metal era is because they were the right band in the right time, especially in the nu metal era where everybody was, because that was where metal was getting subgenre with the hip hop and rapping, which hip hop for me was my least favorite genre, mostly because especially when you're hearing modern music today, it's pretty embarrassing to listen to. And that's all I have to say about this band and this self-titled debut album. This is a classic. Surprisingly, it's actually a classic surprise. And yeah, there's not really anything to say. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this is what the side looks like. I don't think you can see very well, but the side is just basically shows up a letter S on the top, and then it shows up like Slipknot, like the self-titled debut album, and the bottom of the symbol of the letter S. So yeah, and that's pretty much all I have to say about this album. The self-titled debut album is a really good album. I recommend this album if you are not a big fan of heavy metal or thrash metal, or if you're not a big fan of like I mean, because this band is basically a absolute love or hate it of this band. Because you either think that this band is actually really good, or you may think that this is not your thing. Because what I mean is like for Slipknot, because their musics are totally absolute love or hated, even as their albums go. And even comparing to other new metal bands, we actually have we actually have opinionize of other new metal bands out there. And I will say that this album is actually a classic, and I will say that I don't really have anything to say. Pretty much, all I have to say is if you're like a heavy or thrash metal head like me, go ahead and buy this album. It's a classic. I mean, if you can get into their song structure, if you will, if you can get into their their songwriting of this album, if you can get into it, then you may enjoy it. Or if you don't really like the songwriting, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna hate you for not liking Slipknot or the album, or I'm not gonna hate you if you don't like the band or the album they make. That's fine. I'm totally fine with it. I'm just a big heavy thrash metal head like Metallica. I love the crap out of Metallica. Pretty much. I don't know. I'm just a rocker, pretty much. Rocker. Yeah, sorry. But I will say the self-titled debut album is a classic. I recommend it for, if my subscribers out there, if you're watching this, if you're a metalhead, as me, I'm a metalhead too. And if you're a heavy, it depends on what subgenres of metalhead you are. If you are a groove or like any other subgenres besides heavy thrash metal genres, or thrash or heavy metal, or if you want to recommend it, if you're saying like if you're into like symphonic music or symphonic metal, this does not include symphonic metal. But if my subscribers that loves new metal or loves thrash metal, you're going to love this album. You probably may like this album. You may or may not like this album. Maybe it's because trying to get into their songwriting. But this band, for the most part, Slipknot, they're basically are a love or hated it band. Because you either think their songwriting is awesome, or you think their songwriting is not that good, and you think you can't get into their sound. Even when I was trying to first get into it, I cannot really get into their songwriting. But then I tried listening to this album all the way through like 5 times so far, including now. And so far, I'm actually pretty good. I actually like this album. This is actually a really good album. Surprise. And this album or this band for me, it's not a go-to for me. So don't hate on me, Corey Taylor. This is not my favorite band. Don't hate me, Corey Taylor. I actually do enjoy some of your vocals on some of the songs, like Wait and Bleed, Purdy, and even Me Inside also. Don't forget about that in this album too. And so, Corey Taylor, if you're watching this, love you, bro. Stay rocking to this very day. Keep it metal. So final thoughts. Slipknot, they're not my favorite new metal band, because I understand later on they weren't a new metal band later on, but later on they got more thrash metal. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Slipknot, so forgive me. I don't think I will later on, mostly especially how what I'm doing in life, especially how busy I am too. So that's all I had to say. Did you enjoy this album, or are you a big fan of this band? Let me know in the comments down below so I can hear your opinion about this band or in the album too. So, and also, I will actually say this. If you had to rank your tracks to least favorite to favorite, what will it be? Surprisingly, in the album review, right? I always do that in my album ranking, but you know what? I'm gonna have to save it up for album ranking. Don't comment on your least favorite to favorite. So, I'll do it. I'll tell you to do it. I'll tell you to say it in the comments when I do an album ranking. So keep that in mind. So thank you guys and girls so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends and family. Tap the bell for notifications to be notified directly to that video. And share this video with your friends and family if they're metalheads. Not only that, if they are Slipknot fans, share this video. And that's all I have to say. So whatever happens when I upload the next video, just just whatever happens when I upload the next video, I will be fine. Because especially what's happening now with the virus, so I'm still in great health. So don't worry. Because yeah, one of my friends told me that one of them had a sickness, which said that they well, I mean, because I already said it in the other video, I don't want to say it now. So yeah, I already said it in the last video, so I don't want to say it now, especially in the album review. So my social media are in the description to follow me there, and yeah, follow me there, mostly because I mostly do updates on the posts of the social media way more often than on YouTube, because especially how the YouTube platform treats its small YouTubers, especially now still. You know, we'll see you in the next video. Change the world. Peace and love. And also, stay rock on. Stay rock. Or I'm trying to create some outros to make it, because I'm more of a metalhead. I'm trying to say, what should I say as an outro? I'm just going to say, keep rocking. Or, I don't know. I'll try to see what should I say at the outro after I say peace and love. I'm just going to say, I don't know. Just keep rocking.